Okay, and the podcast serves as a vessel to bridge the gap between human isolation and connection. We are all going through something. However, what happens when we start sharing our stories? We will be able to connect, heal, and grow. Come with me and my guests on a journey that will uncover their okay and moment. I'm your host, Just Jess. Let's get started. Good evening, good morning, wherever you are listening to this podcast. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Just Jess, and welcome to Okay and the podcast, where we are bridging the gap between human isolation and connection. And it's been, I think, 2 weeks. I know I owe y'all, weekly, but it's 2020. Y'all gonna get what you gonna get. That's pretty much where we're at right now. So I have a special guest, a very, very good friend and longtime fitness guru. We're gonna go ahead and get started with his journey and what he wants to share with us. And we're gonna talk about the random, and we'll get into his okay and moments. So Mr. James, if you would like to introduce yourself, that would be great.
Well, hello. My name is Agyen James, and I think the title precedes me a little bit, but I would say that I fashion myself more of a wellness guru than just a fitness guru. I think fitness has been one small part of this entire equation for me. So
I agree.
It started there, and then it blossomed into something a little bit more progressive and a little bit wider ranging than just that. So thank you for having me on here. It is a pleasure, and man, like you said, it's been a long time coming. I'm so excited to be here.
It has. So one thing when we go, live on the show and we're recording, we typically talk about in the news lately. And a couple of things have come to my mind, but one thing that just got announced, and I'm hoping this is confirmed, but the next verses is going to be Lil' Kim and Foxy Brown.
Oh my goodness.
Who do you have on this?
Let me tell you something. I gotta go with Queen Bee. I mean,
Really?
I gotta go with Queen Bee. Queen Bee, I feel like she is let's see. Who would you fashion as the rival to Marilyn Monroe?
Ooh.
Okay, well, whatever name you end up coming up with, I'm saying, whatever name you end up coming up with, that is Foxy Brown. Whereas Queen Bee is the Marilyn Monroe to me. I just think that she's the classic. She is the bad bee. I don't know how are you with language on this show?
Oh, we can cuss.
Okay, yeah, she of all the bad bitches, she's the bad bitch. Like, she is the originator. So like I always stick with the OG personally, but I gotta tell you, Foxy does bring it. She absolutely brings it, and she's got the kind of sauce, if you will. So I'm going with Queen Bee, but it wouldn't surprise me if Foxy takes it.
I think one thing that inspired me with New York and just wanting to go to New York was Foxy Brown. I remember, I think it had to be our 8th grade year or 9th grade year. And that's dating us a tad bit, not that much,
just a touch.
But it was one of her albums, and it was like, welcome to, no, it was, oh wait, that's Lil' Kim. Wait, hold on. Oh, that's gonna bug me. Hold on.
There you go. No.
No, wait, I'm about to look it up because now it's about to bug me. But I used to play her album out. I mean, it was insane. And my dad actually gave it to me, and my mom was like, you got her listening to Foxy Brown. Like, you don't even know what she talks about. Oh yeah, that was a song. Candy was a song. Like, that was all Foxy, and people forget because she was super, super low key when she entered. But I feel like that's gonna be iconic.
I'll Be Good is still one of my favorite jams.
Yeah.
That's still one of my favorite jams to this day.
Did you, what else has been happening in this crazy ass world that we're in? Did you watch the fight between
Roy Jones Jr. and Mike Tyson? 2 infirmed uncles waiting in line at the pharmaceuticals counter, basically deciding they wanted to have a friendly match and getting paid. Well, and let me tell you something. The best part is, no matter what it looked like, they got paid. Like, they got paid at the end of it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, maybe they badly needed it, maybe they didn't, but all I know is they got paid for it. And it was, I gotta tell you, man, um, Mike Tyson bothers me sometimes because his legend is way bigger than his actual career. I mean, when you look at his career and how it turned out,
Okay.
he had the potential to really be great. And he ended up with Don King. He ended up with people, the wrong people around him. He lost fights he shouldn't have lost, like Buster Douglas comes to mind. And he ended up not having what you would have projected he would have had when he was 33-0 with 30 knockouts at one point and just the baddest man on the planet. So it's like his legend grew after he was done, and now he's just all of a sudden Iron Mike, and he's like the baddest. It's just been interesting to me when I look at his. It's almost kind of an enigma when I look at his career. But
Mm.
Roy Jones, the same thing. Roy Jones had all of the
Y'all
physical
must have
tools to
forgot.
be great. No, exactly. Like he had the physical tools to really be something great, like
Yeah.
really great. And he moved up to heavyweight, moved back down too soon, and he was just never the same after that. And you just wonder with both of them. So it would have been one of those things where had we caught them maybe a decade sooner, it might have been a little bit better. But I mean, it was definitely a draw. Like I was definitely my interest was peaked for sure.
Hmm. And I think that one thing that felt like home in this pandemic was the fact of, ordering the fight. I just remember growing up, and when it was fight night, we would either be at my grandparents' house or we would be in
Yeah,
the den, and my dad
yeah.
screaming out like, "Honey, we need to get the pay-per-view. Tyson about to come on,
Yep.
or Oscar De La Hoya is about to come on,
Yeah.
or
Oh
Sugar
man.
Ray
You.
Leonard's about to come on." So
Yep.
boxing has been a part
Oh
of
yes.
our childhood, and I think you share that as well. But just
Oh,
knowing
absolutely.
that these two came out there, and one thing that really concerned me was I saw a clip of Mike months ago
Mhm.
when he was just training, and the way that this man was hitting that back. I think his one of his trainers had to get surgery
Oh
on
no,
their.
he still packs a punch. Like he still
Yes,
brings it.
yes,
He's still vicious.
yes. So I was mesmerized just being in that nostalgia moment. But I know they were tired afterwards. Ooh. But Mike wasn't tired. Mike was still like, he was
Let's
still
go.
waltzing around like a lion and stuff. But Roy Jones was out of breath. And he looked
Oh,
real
Roy
like,
Jones. Roy Jones looked like he wanted no more. And I mean, to be honest, they called it a draw, but there were times where it was just like he wants no part of Iron Mike. Like he doesn't want any part of that.
mm-mm, mm-mm.
But yeah, it's funny that you say that. Fight night is definitely a part of my upbringing too. And I
Yeah.
think I don't know if you agree. Like anything else, when you come up, like it was something. And like I mean, we had the greats. We had the heavyweights of the early '80s, and then you
Mhm.
had De La Hoya,
Yeah.
Sugar Shane, Money, obviously before he became Money, and you
Right.
just had all of these names. Now, when you kind of look at the landscape, it's not nearly the same. And it's just not nearly the spectacle, as for me anyway, that it was like to watch a pay-per-view fight or to say, hey, let's go to this spot and go pay to enter to watch the
Watch a
fight or
fight.
do whatever. It's just not quite the same. So, like you said, it was kind of. I think there is a little bit of nostalgia that came from that.
I think the one thing that has taken away from that is MMA fighting, and where that audience basically goes. I mean, I know a
Sure.
lot of people that do watch it and absolutely love it. I remember being at a Buffalo Wild Wings for a fight, and I
Right.
was just not into it. And it was graphic. It's more dangerous, I would say. It's more action packed, but I was just
Right.
not into it. And I think because we had so much banter and so much chaos prior to the fights. I mean, if you look at the classics of Rocky, and then
Oh
understanding
man.
Muhammad Ali, and just understanding
Yeah.
build up, that anticipation of
Sure.
witnessing two men get in the ring and just go toe to toe, and they've been talking mad shit for the past 2 3
Yeah.
4 or 5 months, whatever the case may be. And then the training aspect about it, like
Oh,
you get to,
absolutely.
as a sports fan, you get to appreciate the preparation of what they did
Yeah.
in order to get into that ring for those many rounds.
And I also think we're an instant gratification sort of society. And
Mm,
with that said, MMA, you'll get a knockout in like 10 seconds. I
yeah,
mean, they're literally trying to rip their heads off. Like, I mean,
yeah,
it's ground, it's everything. Whereas, pugilism's a little bit more patient and it's an art. Like, I mean, you can't just go in there wild in. Like, I mean, there's an art and there's a science to it. See Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor. but it's a little bit different. And like what MMA gives you is that ultimate gladiator mentality where it's bones, it's bleeding, it's holds, it's instant knockouts, it's
Fight
chicken
Club.
fighting essentially. Yeah, literally right there. And don't
Yeah.
get me wrong, it's hard. Like, I mean, you and I can both sit there and tell you like it's absolutely hard, but it's just a little, it's not quite the skill and art. And I mean, you see some of the guys in there, they straight up don't know how to box, or they straight up wrestle. I mean, boxing is an art and it's a
Mr.
skill,
Nate
and
found
it,
that out very well.
oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It's a different kind of game. And like I said, it's not one where you're going to see knockouts right away all of the time. And I mean, I think that's what people crave most of the time. So that takes some of the crowd away. And plus, I remember uh, one of the guys on HBO said this best. He said that literally anybody can be an MMA fighter. Like literally you can pitch a tent anywhere and have an MMA fight, because all you need to do is get someone 4-ounce gloves and let them just try to knock the other dude out.
Hmm.
So I think that also adds to the appeal a little bit.
Yeah, I think we're gonna see more of these because of, one, how much money they made with, and two, just the amount of what people want, and how fighters that are older, like, yeah, I can actually get back in the ring. I can actually
Yeah.
train. I can do. There's more.
Who, and you already know the fighter ego says that. Like, you know, you already think
Right.
you still got it, or that it only takes much. And I mean, think about this. How many years do you give it before we have Mayweather Pacquiao 2?
Ooh.
You know what I mean? Like how
Ooh.
many years would you give it before we have that? And think about the revenue that would generate.
He's about to fight whatchamacallit's brother, right? Not the first YouTuber, but the YouTuber's brother. I'm
Oh, you're
blanking
talking
on his
about the
name.
guy that just knocked out Nate Robinson?
Yeah. So he's about to fight. Is he
Oh
about
my
to fight
God.
Floyd Mayweather, or is he about to fight?
Either way, he doesn't belong in the ring with them at
No, he
any
doesn't.
point, at any point. And
You're,
it's gonna be, I mean, literally you're getting a payday out of that. Like
you're
that's what you're getting out of that. Yeah, that's what you're getting out of that.
unless it's an exhibition fight, but I
Even
don't
an
know.
exhibition, and I mean, even an exhibition, like it's, what do you, I mean, if anything, the opponent that you face will make it seem like you feel like you're in the fight. Like, you know, like to let you, to build
I'm
you up,
gonna do a little
right.
do a little something for you to feel
Like you
part
got
of
this,
this.
right?
Okay.
Like you got this, that the pay-per-view audience doesn't feel like they're getting cheated right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There were times growing up where I went to the kitchen to go get a snack or whatever, or I was making my plate, and Mike Tyson knocked out people within the first round,
Oh no,
within the first
absolutely.
like 45, and you missed the fight.
Absolutely.
You're like, what just
That's it. That's it.
I
Like
missed
that's
it, and I was like,
it.
what? Like,
Right. That's
that's
it.
all my parents would say, like, what? Well, we just missed the fight. What happened? Da, da, da. So it was cool to have that. It was just really, really cool to have that. And it was something that I looked forward to for a very long time.
Right.
They postponed the fight. It was supposed to happen, I think, in September, and then they postponed it to November.
Hmm.
So I'm glad it worked out. I think the most important person of that fight was Uncle Snoop. My
Uncle Snoop, slow down there, nephew.
God.
Slow down.
When you talk about the fact that he needs
How
to
is he everyone's uncle? I might
I
add.
don't know. I don't know. I adopted him a long time ago. I have no
He's
idea.
everyone's uncle. Like,
But he needs to be in more, like, I need him to do basketball. I need him to
oh
do
my
golf.
God.
I need him to do synchronized swimming. Like, I need
He's
him to
already
do
doing Martha
everything.
Stewart. Yeah, so why not?
All of that. And I
So why not?
remember, a lot of people don't remember this, but he did an episode on I think it was National Geographic, where he was
Oh wow.
narrating this pack of animals.
Naturally
And
a pack.
And he
How
was like,
else
"Oh,
do
they
you,
gonna get him! Go get him! Oh, snaps! He about to get him! Look at his legs go!" And it was just the funniest shit.
oh my
So
God.
I need him. I need him to
You
continue
need him
doing
more
that.
in your life, it sounds like.
I do. I absolutely do. I mean, outside of his music, I need him to commentate more, because I will tune into everything that Snoop is able to give commentary.
And somehow he has grown wiser with smoking more marijuana. I think his his Don, what's his name? Willie Nelson is starting to show.
Oh, yep. Yeah. Yeah, that's very, very true. So let's go ahead and transition from,
Dude, let's.
the what we're here to talk about. So, we're looking at wellness and what does that mean? And I want you to take us on a journey. So
Sure.
when it comes down to your pivot moment, or even if it was a pivot moment, like, what got you into wellness?
Sure. Well, like anything, I think the important reason why I asked the question, what does it mean to you, is because it can start from a myriad of places, right? I
Mm,
mean, it takes more than one identity on. But for me personally, I would have to say it started with nutrition, with food. I believe it and fashion it as the ultimate form of medicine, and when treated properly, can really do wondrous things for us and make us rely a lot less on vices and on medicine for treatment, and obviously propels us through. And it's the ultimate form of fuel in that sense. But it got me started personally. I didn't notice drastic changes in my body and in my mindset and in conditions I had. I used to get headaches, migraines quite a bit.
okay.
I didn't notice that until I really started changing my diet. And I think that the key to a better planet, a better us, a better ecosystem is the food on our plate. And it's as simple as that. But for me, it was just that. It was the start, because I think when, like, cleaning out a closet, when you clean out one section, you begin to think about, you gain momentum. You begin to think about, what else can I clean out, or what else can use improvement
Mhm.
in this sense or in this regard. And then you start looking at other things. And fitness was something that always came naturally to me. I played sports, and but even there, like, it was, how do I become smarter about the way I train? How do I train in a way that aligns with me, not just for the perfect physique, not just to do what everyone else is doing, not just to lift weights because everyone says, but what kind of movement modalities and what kind of methods work for the goal that I'm trying to achieve? And mine personally being longevity, it's like, how do I get better at moving? And how do I get better at identifying weaknesses? So I think that for me, wellness is whatever you think that you can, it's whatever you think that you can improve upon to start. But ultimately, it's food, it's movement, it's, psychological health, it's your relationships and your social health, it's sexual health. It takes on so many different aspects. It's spirituality.
Mhm.
I just think that it's starting with one has just opened my mind up to possibilities and all. And it's made me reevaluate how to be the best version of myself. And I think that whenever you start with any one particular one, you're looking at improvement of self first and foremost. And it really allows you to go deeper within in all aspects, and to see where you need to improve, where you're lacking, what you may need help with, and so on and so forth.
So when you're looking at the different, I would say, stages of wellness, which one did you, I don't know if this is the proper term, but which one did you struggle with the most?
I think personally, it would have to go between mental health and social, because mentally, I've always been my biggest critic and my biggest my hardest and harshest judge. And I haven't been my own self-support. And in doing so, I think that it's led me to surround myself with people that I would maybe idolize, but not necessarily would do much for me or were there for me in that sense. But um, taking care of myself physically led me to look at who, who really supports me in this journey. And also, do I support myself? When I look at the food that I was eating in my training regimens, they were because I felt like I needed to be perfect. The only reason that people surrounded themselves with me or drew themselves to me was because I looked a certain way, or because I had to maintain a certain aesthetic. And that might not have been true, but I didn't know it, because growing up, that was always the narrative. Nobody really cared until I hit a growth spurt, until I was playing sports, until I acted a certain way. And that just stuck with me. That was the narrative that I had created for myself. And I think that once I realized, like, as you go through this thing called life, and your regimen's not perfect and you can't always maintain, you know, why is it that, like, you struggle with accepting this? Like, what's the hardest thing about accepting this, and why are you causing yourself so much stress? Why do you feel like you don't amount to anything? And I had to look at that, and I had to be honest, and I had to get help with something like that, because I couldn't do it on my own. And I will say that it was really liberating, and knowing that you really hold the keys, and that your best self is not defined by perfection, and that you ultimately have everything you need within yourself to make yourself complete and make yourself whole. And then also reanalyzing the fact that in turn, you will attract the people that you really want in your life around you. So when you become that version of self, it reverberates and it draws in people that want to be around you. And that was something that was a little hard for me to deal with at the time or start with, because I always felt like I had to keep people. I always felt like I had to draw people in. I always had to feel like I mattered in a certain way that would draw people in. So
Give me an
became,
example.
well, I would say that, I have to go back in the archives, so you're gonna have to forgive me for a second. But uh, I would say that an example of that would be, man, it's hard. I'm drawing a blank right now. Um, I would say normally, okay, so like friends that I felt like I would hang with on a regular basis, like
Okay.
I'll just take relationships on a more broader spectrum.
Okay.
I always felt like I had to be the one to maintain, and in turn, I always felt like I had to be the one to reach out. I always had to be the one to initiate, and I always had to do something to fix myself for the sake of it. So anytime there was an argument, anytime there was a conflict, like I always just took blame for it. And I always felt like I had to fix and I always had to do. And what I didn't realize was that I was basically settling for people that didn't want to put in the same amount as me. And I felt like, okay, well, if I just make myself a little bit better, if I just, ensure that I maintain this or that I do this for them, they will stay with me. And I mean, romantic relationships, like close friendships, like numerous, like I've done it so many times, honestly, that like it's hard to even cite one specific example.
Relationships take work. I mean, I think in all aspects they take work. We know that.
Yeah.
We like we
Yeah, but sometimes what you don't realize is that you don't have to do all of the work for it. And
that
it's a
part. Hmm.
hard notion to let go of, that you don't need to be doing the work for two people. Like it is not on you to
Stressful.
carry things. No, and it's not on you to carry things. Like, you realize the kind of people that you want are the ones that will put in the same amount as you or be willing to put forth something for you. And that's a hard concept to grasp for some people, myself included. That wasn't something that came easily to me. And like you said, they take work, but then what you realize is that letting people walk out the door is sometimes the hardest thing, because guess what? They just showed you they don't want to do the work.
Yeah.
So you can't be willing to want to do it for them. And like I said, that was just a hard concept. That was a novel concept for me.
So when you're looking at the I would say self-reflection when it comes down to knowing who you want to surround yourself with, what was the tipping point to that? And then how would you help someone get to that level if you decided to mentor someone
Right.
like that?
I think understanding, like, if you first of all, I believe I have a high standard for what I would consider a friend. Friendship is something that we throw out, like the word I love you, or like the word love, or the
Yeah.
phrase I love you. Is one that we just abuse and just use ad nauseum, right? But it takes a very old-fashioned sort of meaning for me. Like, to be a friend is to be someone that's there, to, like I said, put in the work, to
Mm-hmm.
be there no matter what, to comfort, to console, like to support, to be honest, like to go through fights and to go through things, but to still want to find a way to make it work,
Right.
and that's a valuable thing. Most people would define that as a romantic relationship today, but that's any worthwhile relationship. I think by defining it first, and then also just realizing that um, that's what I want, knowing that's what you want for yourself no matter what. And I think that when I had to reevaluate, for all of the people that I might have dubbed as somebody close, or thinking that the relationship was more, particularly when they weren't ready to give that much or when they
Mm-hmm.
weren't putting forth that much, it was realizing that, what, like, it's letting go is also, it could be seen as an addition in this sense. Like, by letting go of something like that, you're making room for that which you want to add. And it may seem like a loss at first, and it may seem like maybe you're setting the bar too high, but sometimes you realize, like, your bar is your bar and that's where
Yes.
you stand, and those are your limits. And where you can compromise, but where you can't, don't. And I think that a lot of times, like, I was settling for compromising on what were really hard limits for me that would just drive me insane or drive me to want to be upset or feel a certain way when certain things didn't happen. So I think it was really just understanding what my limitations were and what my expectations were. And I think that expectation can be a slippery slope because we're told that, you shouldn't expect a lot out of people. However, if the expectation is to be a friend or to be this, then there are a certain set of standards and rules that make sense to you, that you would like to have satisfied in order for you to be happy. Where it goes from there, you guys discuss. But I think setting your boundaries and understanding what it is that you actually want and then communicating it goes a very long way in that, and just understanding that everyone's not going to meet that, and that's okay. And you don't have to be angry about it, and you don't have to blame them for anything about that, but knowing that this is where you're at and accepting that and allowing things to come to you.
I think that's the most critical part that people have to learn, is that everyone is not going to be for you.
No.
Everyone's not going to be a fan. Everyone's not going to be you. I mean, I've heard people, say like, man, I wish there was a me out there, so that way I knew they would be there for me, or, they
Hmm.
would talk to me like this. And there's only one of you.
Yeah.
So if you're expecting you out of someone else, you're going to be disappointed on a
You're gonna,
regular
yeah,
basis.
do it
That's so
tell.
much heartbreak.
It is.
Like,
It is.
what?
It is. And not only that, but understanding that there's give and take. Like I said, there's a fine line between hard line and then being able to compromise. And like you said, everyone's not going to be you. Like you said, there is only one of you. But what can you accept and what can't you accept? And I
Mhm.
think, as long as you have a long, hard discussion with yourself about that, then it makes it a lot clearer as to who you can let in and who you can't. And I know, like, for me personally, one thing that I cannot accept is flakiness. I mean, I just have this thing about, if you say you're going to be somewhere or you're going to do something, then that is the expectation. You have said it. Please, like, live up to it, or at least tell me why you can't.
Where do you think that comes from? Have you explored that yet?
Oh man, absolutely. It becomes from, I think that there are feelings. I think, for one, when you grew up in a household where your parents were always there whenever you needed them, and that they were there and they instilled this value in you that anybody that's worth having will be there for you, and you won't have to beg them or plead them, or they won't just disappear out of thin air. I think that was the start of it. And then, just even with that, the feelings, I can be honest and say, feelings of abandonment, or that I'm not good enough
Yeah.
because something did fall through. Just knowing that okay, I know what I'm going to invest. I'm going to invest my time. I'm going to invest my effort. Like, I'm not going to waste yours. eh, what goes into not having the decency to let me know that you are not going to be able to honor whatever it is that you said you were going to do or say. Like, it just is just something about that that's just really wrong. I would never do that personally to someone else. Because of those things, and having it done to me numerous times, I might add, I just feel a certain way about it. Like, it's disrespectful, and I'll say this, it used to be like a cutoff, but now it will take a lot of splaining to let me know what happened or what was going into it, because trust is a very big thing for
Mhm.
me, and betraying it's very hard to walk back from.
How does that impact wellness?
Well, one, like I said, it makes you reevaluate the people that you are surrounding yourself with, but also, like you said, yourself. Like, are
Yes.
you truly ready for this? Like, okay, why does this keep happening to you? Like, what is it about you that keeps drawing in these sort of people? And, like, what is it that you finally have to say no to? Like, something that you're doing is setting you up for this over and over again.
Mhm.
What do you change? Like, how do we change course here? What do we do differently? Like, and what signs can we pick up on? But I think it also makes you more self-aware, but also aware of others. Really, like, really turns your ears and eyes as to, like, what you're looking for when someone says something to you, or like the kind of aura or energy they bring about when they're near you. Like, I know it's a little more esoteric, but we as humans have this sort of ability to feel and to use sensory information and to
Yeah.
be a little more sentient. And we don't lean on it a lot. Like, some people will call it your intuition, others will call it your gut. Like, we really think that it's impulse, or we really don't trust it. And the truth is it's there for a reason. Like, it's there to guide us, and it's there to help us make decisions on these sort of things. And I think, a lot of times, like whenever you are speaking to someone or when you're meeting them, you just know, like you just feel it. There's just something that says, tell me more. Or there's something that says,
Yeah.
I think I'm good. Yeah, like, I think I'm good. Like,
No.
there's that something that tells you. And I think
Yeah.
this kind of journey helped me with that, to lean more onto my intuition and to be honest and to really explore why I was getting the outcomes that I was.
Yeah, that's so good because oftentimes people accelerate so many different relationships and they do not take the time to pause and say why.
Right.
And I
Right.
think a lot of people have the tendency not they don't want to be lonely and they don't want to recreate or go out and do whatever again because they want to feel comfortable, but you got to know who you are in order to say no and then
Yeah.
continue moving forward. I'll ask you this: so when it
Sure.
comes down to the difference between fitness and wellness, like we know you for, what I know you for is the the turnaround with fitness and then really understanding that's just one aspect of it. So what
Mhm.
has been your proudest moment when it comes to putting all of this together?
I think the proudest moment for me, and plus, I'd like to note, you definitely knew me when I was quoting and citing and emulating Bruce Lee,
Yes.
and
Yes.
when I would post my shirtless selfies, and
Mhm.
and you know what, those are in private now. I just don't post them, so not everything has changed. Just want to put that out there,
Okay.
but
Okay.
you've known me throughout this journey, and
Yeah.
I got to say it's been quite an honor. And what I think I'm proudest of is getting to the point where your fitness and your methods they're ubiquitous now. Like, they're no
Mhm.
longer just pointed to one thing, and you feel comfortable and confident in your methods, that you know that going out to enjoy yourself one night is not going to kill you. Doing something that's opposite of, balance isn't always doing great things all of the time.
Yeah.
Balance is allowing yourself that room to indulge, to enjoy. And rather than being self-critical about that now, I enjoy. There are moments and things in life that are imperfect, that happen, but you do yourself a much better justice being able to roll with them and trusting in your process, trusting in what you're doing, trusting in your journey, than trying to fix it along the way and to be critical. Because being critical and being hard on yourself is the worst thing you could do. It's only added stress, and it shuts everything down. And like I said, it creates a narrative and it creates bad habits. And now being able to go out and enjoy, like, share a piece of cake with someone, or enjoy like
Mhm.
a piece of beef for a meal, or to skip a day. I've been constantly in rehab right now for old injuries, and it's been great, but like, I haven't trained hard in a while. And
Okay.
to know that that's part of a bigger process for me, and that it's not affecting anything, that was something I would have beaten myself up for a long time. Like, part of the reason I got in trouble was I trained through injuries that I should not have. And it's good to know, like, you're at a point now where your wellness is such that it's not defined by just how much I'm moving. It's not defined by just the food I'm eating, but knowing that I've generated and cultivated such good habits with all of it, that I know now that there's so much more to it, that I'm fine, that I'm really, really good.
What would you tell someone that's starting this journey, but they have so much noise around
Yeah.
them? Like what would you tell somebody? What would you tell somebody?
Well, the first thing would be, there's always going to be noise.
Mm,
We can't always turn the volume down on the noise that's around us,
yeah.
but you can center yourself in it. There's always a way that you can center yourself and focus on whatever it is that you want to accomplish, because the situations around you can't always control. What you can control is how you navigate them. And with that said, whatever that noise may be, just focus on that one avenue or that one thing that you want to improve. And please do not take on a mountain. Please take the first step, and the first step only, because it is so easy to become overwhelmed.
Right.
But to start with that, and to focus on that, and to make sure that you see it all the way through, and not to be overly critical. because it's so easy when you're starting something new like this that's supposed to represent improvement and supposed to represent a new you. You're going to put so much pressure on yourself to do it, that and to do it fast, that you're going to feel like a failure if something goes wrong along the way. And it's like, guess what? That's life. It's not going to go perfectly, especially at the start. But what's important is how you navigate it. So like I said, the noise is always going to be there, the distraction, everything's going to be there, but stay steadfast, stick to that one thing and see it all the way through. And realize that this is one really small step in the rest of your life.
Do you think it's important to have accountability partners along the way? Why or why not? And then part two of that question, uh, should you not, I guess, should you isolate yourself until you're ready to have the noise around you?
Okay, so I think firstly, accountability starts with yourself, and I think
Mhm.
that's the most important thing you can start with. But yes, like I think that extra guidance can help, because if you were holding yourself accountable, you would have done this a long time ago. And that's okay to admit that sometimes. So I think that understanding that this is meant to get you started, but ultimately not to be a crutch, is the most important thing. Is that this is you developing a new habit. This is you sticking to something that you said you were going to do. And I think it's okay to get help along the way. I think surrounding yourself with positive forces is really important in that. Like if you live with a family that's eating nothing but takeout and fast food, and they laugh at you whenever it is that you pop out a salad or you pop out a smoothie, that's obviously not going to help. That's noise. But
Environment, yes.
right, your environment does help. But what I will say is that you can lean on it to a certain point. Like I said, ultimately you got to stand. And I think that standing is the most important thing. So getting that support is vital, but the more vital is it to really establish that goal and to really stay firm in it and to stick to it. And then to your second question, what was the second question again?
Just overall, is isolation a way to gain that goal?
Not
Get away
complete.
from the
I think like I said, balance like anything else, not complete isolation. I think that if you understand that you have to cut down going out on a Saturday night with your friends because it's
Mhm.
more important to sleep, or more important to read that article, or more important to educate yourself on the goal that you're trying to attain, that's one thing. But every Saturday for the next 4 or 5 months, probably not. You could probably do with one Saturday or 2 Saturdays, like out of the month, to do that. Like I said, I think moderation is important in that. I don't think we're meant to be isolated forever. I think we're social creatures, and that's an important facet of being well, is to know that you have connections with other people, that you can enjoy their company, and that you can do things with them all in good fun, or for upliftment, or for whatever the reason may be. I think that's an important thing. So I don't think you want to be in complete isolation whenever you take anything on, because like I said, back to your first question, you may need that additional support.
Yeah.
And if you're getting it from them, then you definitely want to know that you have it.
When you look at yourself now and look at yourself in the past, what advice would you give to yourself?
So when I look at myself now, I see myself as basically at the middle of a road to something much bigger, right? Like just
Mhm.
something more superfluous, if you will, something much bigger than me. And if I were to look back at myself, let's just say five years ago,
Yeah.
not that long ago, patience is a really, really big thing. I know everyone wants everything now, but like I really want everything fast. Like I'm so willing to work hard. And if I'm going to work that hard, then damn it, I'm going to have it now,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
that's always been my mindset with things. And I've not always seen them through. And I've always been quick to start something else in order to achieve it. And I think that looking back, understanding as I do now, patience in the virtues of it. I mean, it's so cliche, but it's so right at the same time. Just knowing that to slow down and to allow things to happen, things will happen for you. They say when you put it out in the universe begins working for you. But how can you allow it to work for you if you're so busy and so occupied with doing things to do it through, like all the way to the end? It's weird. I think that allowing things to happen is one of the best ways to have things happen for you and not forcing them. And I think that was the biggest thing for me, was always trying to force my way into things and always trying to do more to get things done.
When it comes down to knowing that, and you mentioned earlier spirituality, and just what has been the moment for you when it comes to spirituality to where it's working for you? And I say that for you because oftentimes people are like, well,
Yeah.
what's the best practices for everyone to do?
Right.
Works for everybody. So for
Right.
you, what does that look like?
Well, I'll take you back to the last law enforcement decision I tried to go through with, and that was with Seattle PD. And I just sat there,
Oh,
and it was after my failed attempts with the Air Force, with the
okay.
DEA, with FBI. And at that point, it was like, this has to be a sign. Like, something has to be at work here, because what's going on that I didn't get through to these three agencies. And then with Seattle, it was like, is this what you really want to do for the rest of your life? Like, is this the key to happiness for you? And it's like,
Ah,
no. And it's like,
okay.
no. Like, the answer was a straight no. And from there, it just made me think about everything that's happening in my life. A job that's not fulfilling me, mounds of debt, having to move back home. What, like, where did I go? Like, what left turn did I take, and where did I
Yeah.
go wrong? And what is it that this is teaching me? Like, what is this that it's trying to tell me? And I think that sometimes you have no choice but to trust, because you're just in such a deep, like, dark hole with everything, that
The
it's like,
abyss.
yeah,
Yeah.
what, what, what else can I do? Like, I've done so much that, like, it's gotten me here. Like, I've literally driven myself into this situation. What do I look towards? And I mean, whether you want to call it God, like Allah, the universe, which is my preference,
Hmm.
there's something else out there that's at work if you just let it bring things to you. And it's not easy to grasp, because, like I said, you think you have to work that much harder to make things happen. And that's true to a certain degree, but it's literally one of those things, like, I can't explain, but you just feel like, you just know when you're at that point where you just have to let go. And I think that at that point, 3 years ago or 2 years ago, I just let go. I literally
Hmm.
just let go, and I was like, what is it that really makes me happy? Let's just start there. Forget about, like, the major career change. Forget
How
about
was
all
that
of this.
process?
It was arduous. It was definitely slow, and it was definitely hard. I mean, some of the most humbling moments would be when my paycheck would come and literally all of it would be gone, and now I'm incurring overdraft fees. Then knowing that, like, I would have to borrow money, and then knowing that I just didn't have the freedom to be able to do the things that I wanted to do. Knowing that I had put myself in this position, like, you came full circle to a lot of things that you might have been doing, that you might not have thought would have came back around to you, that did.
Hmm.
And it was, man, it was humbling. It was truly humbling. And I think that every good story has this sort of journey, and, like, any story worth living and telling has this sort of journey. And I mean, I was just fortunate to have to go through it. But I think really letting go was the key to it, because had I not, like, I probably would have been coming up with some other grand scheme in the wrong arena, the wrong avenue, not rehabbing myself, not being introspect, not reflecting, and just thinking that I alone had the keys to my happiness, and I would just drive the car till the wheels fell off trying to get there.
What do you think is the hardest part about people letting go?
Trusting. I think that truly trusting that there is something at work for you, or trusting that you're not in complete control of it. Because we only think that control is the things that we can see, touch, feel, or pay for. And I think that ultimately, like, I mean, just think of major CEOs, like, major companies.
Right.
They can pay for everything. Everything's at their fingertips. Like, it's power, right? Like, somehow or another, they're untouchable. One scandal, one like angry employee, later one whatever, now you're not. Now it's all gone. And I just think that there's no such thing as absolute control, and there is no such thing as you being a complete existentialist and just having control of whatever outcomes. Like, there are outcomes, and then there's what you do.
Mm-hmm.
And there are signs all around us. Like, I think so to a certain degree, our story is premeditated. There is something at work out there for us. Do you want to listen, or do you want to go ahead and circumvent and try to create that? And I think that it's hard to get that alignment between what you draw up, right? Like what that goal looks like in your head, and then
Yeah.
like what is laid out for you, and realizing where they intertwine. I think that can be kind of hard sometimes, but trusting, just trusting that this is happening for you and not to you, and just trusting the signs, and trusting yourself, trusting yourself to be able to handle it, to navigate it well, to do what you need to do. But I think that we're so caught up in wanting the answers right away, and the answers told to us in some narrative or in some form, that we're not willing to seek them ourselves, or to trust ourselves to be able to pick ourselves up after a mistake or after something goes wrong. I think we just want everything to go perfectly, that we don't trust mistakes, and we don't trust learning and teaching moments.
And I think that goes back to understanding what wellness means, because I think of journeys, and oftentimes they're so discombobulated because you
Yeah.
have so much distraction, so much noise, so much garbage, and you
Yeah.
have to really detox. And a lot of people think like, oh, detox,
It's a green juice.
yeah, but it's detoxing your mind. It's detoxing, like you need to be grounded
Yeah.
with what's going on. And I think what
Your
people,
tribe, like
right,
just everything.
right. And I think what people tend to miss is that if you are not grounded, you're going to miss those signs. You're going to miss those moments where the universe is open up saying, hey, this is the way,
Right.
versus being detoured detoured to 4 months, 6 months, 2 years, 10 years,
Yeah. 20
because
years, a
20
life,
years,
a
life.
life. Yeah.
What else, like what is that potential if we just took the time to center ourselves? And I think it's hard, because at first, like the beginning of the pandemic, I was like, okay, having this expectation of going back to the norm
Hmm.
versus not looking at this as a blessing, because
Yeah.
out of your lifetime, have you had a serious pause moment?
Oh my goodness.
Like
You hit it
what?
right on the head. Like, no, as bad as this pandemic has been on
Yeah.
so many levels. And
Mhm.
what was worse was how it was handled. I'd like to throw that out there.
Yep.
Um, I really got to just, like you said, how often do we get to stop and think for a
Yeah.
second, or to stop and be solitary, just to think about something, or to reflect? And we got that major, like you hit it right on the head. Like, we certainly got those moments. And you know, even if it doesn't turn out to be, like you said, the endeavor that does it, whatever it is for you, just
Mhm.
the fact that you got the direction that you had not, maybe that you hadn't had for a long time, like it came, certainly. And I think that, like you said, in this situation, I mean, who knows what the hell you'd be doing, just like, had it not happened. But here you are now, basically doing boss things on a podcast, and now here I am, basically pursuing the endeavors that I've sought. And I never, I'll tell you right now, a year ago, like a few months ago, I didn't think I'd be here. Like, I just absolutely didn't think I'd be here. But like you said, being grounded in what it is that you actually want, and it
Mhm.
asking for it, then puts you in position to do this.
It's humbling. One, it's truly humbling. I think the other part is, and not to sound like cheesy, but
No, please, cheese away.
it's the moments where we take for granted, where we're so on the go, 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 go. And
Because that's how you get things.
that's how
That's how
you
you
get
get
things,
things. You
right?
go, go, go,
And
hustle,
that's what we've
hustle,
been
hustle,
taught.
grind, grind, grind. And it's
Yes.
like, how about if you just slow down for a second and just
Mm.
stopped? Like,
Mhm. That's the problem, where I think either there's a comparison factor where, okay, well, this person's doing this, so I'm going to do this or this,
yep,
but it's stay in your lane. Stay
yeah,
in your lane. There's so much that is out there that is yours, like you have a designed
sure.
for
No,
yourself.
exactly. And that just made me think of something else. Like, when you say you are catering your life basically based on the standards of others, like even with your friends, but I always say, those that have walked their own journey will not judge you for yours. Because oftentimes, like
Woo.
you said, you're scared of talking to someone and saying, hey, like, I'm just going to throw this out there. Hey,
Yeah.
like, I want to be a porn star. Like, can you
Mhm.
imagine the looks you would get? Like you said, this is okay. And right.
Yeah.
Literally anyone that was with you, that was truly on their own path, they'd be like, okay, like, so what are you waiting for?
Yeah.
versus where versus where you get the looks like, oh, a porn star, well, how long is the life expectancy, or what do
Yeah.
you generate, and
Bad.
are you going to be able to
Bad.
do, and it's just like, yeah, like you said, oh well, maybe I'll just reevaluate. Like, no, like, it's things like that like you said, you're basically dictate to you who's really walking on their own path. Because I'll tell you right now, when you find that what you want to do is the most outlandish and wildest thing ever in your own head, based on your own judgment and the judgment that others have, like I said, instilled upon you,
Mhm.
you're truly at home when you say it. And it's like, people are just like, yes, go for it. Like, hell yeah, go for it.
Yes.
Like I said, be in alignment, do your thing. I think it just you made me think of that when you said that you really do need to be grounded. And like I said, part of that grounding process is being grounded and surrounded by people that will support you along the way in something like that.
Yeah, I mean, you know this, I'm very particular about my tribe and
Yeah.
the certain things that I go through, because at first I was very prideful. I was very um I am going to try to be perfect as possible,
Hmm.
knowing that that is not something that I can achieve at all whatsoever. But again, to your point, I had to filter out those people that were expecting
Yeah.
perfection from me, that they were expecting that, oh, Jess is going to X, Y, and Z. And once I got all the shit out the way,
Oh man.
it was the most beautiful thing. It was like when Thanos, like, snapped his fingers and he like ended up in the water, and it's just like, oh, beautiful. And yes,
Oh
that's
man, it's quiet and
it's
it's
very
just serene, and it's like,
quiet.
despite the fact that he just murdered half the
That
population,
part, that
you
part.
know what I mean? Like, forget it. Like, no,
Balance though. It was the
right. No,
balance.
absolutely. Absolutely. Well, it's so funny. Like, I'm gonna digress slightly here.
Yeah.
Isn't it so funny how this pandemic has been essentially the snapping of the fingers, if you will?
Woo.
Like, I'm not big on conspiracy theories, okay? But like, I had my wild conspiracy theory moments where it was like, this is happening because clearly they just want population control. Because there's no
Okay.
way in hell you could
Okay.
just there's no way in hell you can just allow this many people to just die.
Die. Yeah. Yeah. That's and I don't think you're far off from it. I don't think you're far off
How
from it.
can you be this negligent otherwise? Like, I mean, even the dumbest of dumb would do something, but here we are, and it's crazy. But like I said, this is that end game moment. This is that, like, end game moment, if
Yeah.
you will.
Yeah. Yes. I just got done with a whole Marvel
Did
marathon.
you
So
dedicate? I was gonna say, I hope you didn't dedicate a whole podcast to Marvel
no, you know
and its
what?
wild theories. Because
I
if you
might
do,
do
you have
that.
to invite me. You have to invite me on that one, because
Okay.
I swear to God, I'll nerd out with you.
Deal, super deal, because it's a lot of the content that we watch and we can apply it to real life. I mean,
Oh,
there's
absolutely. The messages are plenty and abound. Like,
there.
I mean, they're
There.
there. They're right in front of your face.
And I think where you have majority of people that go back and watch content that we watched as kids.
Oh man, like Star Trek, like the old Star Treks. Man, did you see the stuff that was in there? Like, it's like, wow. Like, just think of this. Just think of this. Like, Republicans probably hail Captain Kirk because he said, in one episode, without struggle, there's no progress. And it's like,
Hmm.
well, then, so basically he's calling out radical socialism right there, because it's like, well, gee, if everyone just had access to everything and nobody had to struggle, would this really be such a bad place? Like, would this really be bad? I,
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah. Well, look at that. FDA
Like I said,
approves Pfizer vaccine. Step one
oh
is about to happen.
man, it's already happening, Jess, like right in front of our eyes. It's
Facts.
literally happening right in front of our eyes. And you know what, hun, this is for the leaders out there. Like I said, since we're talking about spiritual awakening and we're talking
Yeah.
about paths, for the leaders out there, like, you fashion yourself and I fashion myself, like, this is the moment where you lead, like, where you pick up and you grab the mic however you can,
Mm-hmm.
and you speak and you convey a message and you put it out there. So, I mean, like I said, it's what you do with it. The noise is there. The noise is always going to be there. But how do you navigate it and what do you do with it? Some people complain it's too loud. Some people put earmuffs on and just act ambivalent. And then some, hear it and then respond to it or make music out of it.
Yeah. Or some people dance to it.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
There you go.
Amen to that.
Two second to last question. So if you had one word to describe you right now, what's the word and why?
Dynamic, honestly.
Mhm.
I just think that whatever I bring to the table, it is brought. Like, I mean, no matter what endeavor I choose to go after, I can get it done. I can attack it. I can learn, extrapolate, and then whatever happens after that happens after that. But I just think that I just bring that who is that factor to it, or who, like, what is this guy about? Like, I really think the sky literally is only a limit if I make it that. Like, I just think I'm capable of doing anything at any time, and I'm really feel like I'm tapping into that. And it becomes less crazy to ask for certain things when you believe you can do it. And I'm tapping into that right now. Like, it's less crazy to ask for modeling opportunities if you really think you can model. And it's like,
Right.
I think I can fucking do this. It's like, I just think that I'm really dynamic and that I'm not defined by just one thing. I think
Mm,
that the beauty of being human is that we can wear many hats if we choose to. You can master as many things as you want to. Like, there literally is no bound except for what people tell you or what your own personal limitation is. And why not find out what that is? And I just think that I'm finding out what that is.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Last question. What quote do you live by?
Man, it's Brucey, good old Bruce.
Yeah.
Do not do not pray for an easy life. Pray for the strength to endure a difficult one.
Yeah.
And I just think that that goes a very long way. I actually have two, but I'll go with that one for now. But really understanding that, any boat that sails out to sea is going to hit a storm or hit a tide or hit a wind, hit something along the lines.
Mm-hmm.
Just trust yourself to be able to navigate it and to go through it and to be able to endure. I think the one thing that we lack a lot in society, particularly nowadays, is resilience. Being
Yes.
able to go through something hard and to see it all the way through and to get to the other end. Like, I mean, like I said, nothing happens overnight, as I've had to remind myself and tell myself over and over again. But at the same time, like, how do you expect to actually learn unless you're put in a situation where it's just so foreign and you're uncomfortable? Like, you're not going to learn anything. Like, I think with the age of Google and everything at your fingertips, you don't want for anything, and everything that you want the answer to is readily available. It doesn't really make you search. And I just think that having the ingenuity and having the resilience to make it through something is valuable, because guess what, you will be fine no matter what, because you'll always be looking for a way, and you'll know that there is a way as long as you stick to it.
This is the way.
Yeah.
This is the way.
And
It has been a pleasure.
oh,
I know we can talk all day, but I know we gotta keep it to the time frame.
oh
And
my
so,
god.
where could people, if they wanted to reach out or see your content and the growth that you are, where they can reach out to you?
So my Instagram is Agyen James. That's AYGENJAMES. I'm on Instagram. Find me there. I'm definitely looking to book more opportunities. So if you
Mhm.
have anything that you'd like to collaborate on, that is the best way to reach me.
Absolutely. So one thing I wanted to do too, so one, thank you again. And then two, just understanding like we are here to support small businesses. So if y'all can
Sure.
go check out Relax and Restore, Relaxed and Restore. And it's a great wellness opportunity where candles and just really understanding the importance of wellness. So really support that business, go buy all the products, go listen to the podcast, all of that good stuff. Until next time, y'all, I will see you, not see you, obviously, but we'll see you next. Dang, why do I keep on saying that? I can't even sign off. Until next time, y'all. Y'all know I'm goofy. Love y'all. Peace.